Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Now we begin the portion where we discuss the morning's message. And I loved it. I'm telling you, as I was writing it, I was getting so excited because we see so much. And every year I see more and more. And it's just such a blessing. So does anybody have anything they'd like to comment on this and maybe something else that they heard or recognized as they read the portion this week? Miriam?
Yeah, okay. I was just waiting. I should write down because I think of things.
Yes, you should write down.
I know. Anyway, I guess what one just thought that came to me is we tend to be just generally in the world biased about time, like the whole concept of time. Like we look at these Torah portions and the stories, and even what you said, what I really like, a Chinese proverb or whatever, when the person will come when you, how does it go again?
When the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Yeah, okay, I love that. It's so beautiful. But I guess when we look at things like the Torah portion, for example, it happened many, many years ago. And it seems to the modern person, or maybe anyone, that it's a story from way, way long ago. So we tend to attribute less reality to it. It's a fable, it's a myth. But when you really look at it, and when you've had a touch from God, the amazing thing is that it's so alive and real, and it's very, very appropriate to all times. It's not locked into any time period. And that can only happen by some sort of touch from God, because otherwise it's so distant. It's so, how could we apply that to now? Okay, you can in a way, but anyway, that factor I really love, that God is with us even in our trials, and that, when it said to Joseph, God placed you for a special time as this, like the same as with Esther, God has brought you to this for a special reason, a special time. And we can look at our individual lives and see the same thing. God has placed us in this time and place for a reason. And even in the Messianic writings or the New Testament, in the book of Acts, at one point it says, I always love it about how God has put everybody in their own a special place, special time. Like you are not born at random. I'm not born at randomly in Montreal in the family I'm born to. There's a special purpose for each one of us. Anyway, it really came through in your message.
Yeah,
really
I see him. I see him as the great architect. And if you go into an architect's office, you'll see the pattern, the plans that are drawn out.
Right.
And you have to stay within that pattern in order to build a building properly. If you go outside the pattern, the building will not be the same. Something will go wrong. So the pattern that the Torah is the great architect's pattern for humanity. And whenever a new religion comes along that says the Torah, it has to say that the Torah is no longer valid in order to change the plan to fit its own agenda. It wants to construct a new plan. So if it wants to have its own God, it's going to have to get rid of the architect, the God who created the original plan. That's how I see it. To me, it's just so, when I started recognizing that, it was so simple, and you see these patterns everywhere.
That's why there's only really one story.
Yeah.
There's one story, and it's amazing,
and it's his story. I love that.
Yeah, that's right. It's his story. And people often say, I don't like being confined by boundaries, or even in art and music, which to me, even art and music reflect God or rebel against God. When there was a movement in the early 20th century, contemporary music, where they tried to go out of this, and I won't go into all the things because it's a musical concept, but it became like a clashing of gongs, and you could hit a piano with a log, or you could do whatever, turn the piano upside down. It was a rebellion against the order of things, and in all realms, in arts too. When people try to, like, somebody, I think, threw a dead animal down onto a canvas way below. That's not art. And in all our attempts, it's the greatest rebellion of all time, is very simply to want to break the beautiful boundaries that God has created. Even this water bottle I'm drinking from, it's beautiful in a way that it has a pattern, and it does its job. So anyway, to me, that's the greatest rebellion of all. And the greatest story is really very, very simple.
Yeah.
About our Creator.
Yeah. This whole society is taking absolutely everything that God gave us in these patterns, like men and women, and want to change that. And when we destroy the men in our communities, when we take away the role that they have, and it's being done in absolutely every area, women rabbis, women leaders, and it's not that we are not capable of doing it. The idea is that men are the spiritual head. They are, the way Adam was made, the spiritual head of Eve, which is why he failed when he didn't protect her from eating that fruit. Men need to protect the women, and women need to allow men to take their role and build them up to do so. If we think that we are going to make a better world by all women being leaders, we're on the wrong track, and we're destroying humanity.
I agree with you, but just to make an obvious point, this is not, you can't just take one half of the human race and say they're responsible. I understand what you're saying, but...
Oh, they're responsible for their role, I said, Miriam.
No, exactly.
Yeah, they have a role that God gave
both
them.
Men and women have to realize this. It's not just, there's reaction, and
yes, of course.
Some of this movement has come against reaction of really abuse by men.
Well, it's gone too, yes, but it's gone too far now to the other direction.
I agree. All I'm saying is it's a pendulum. There's neither men nor women. We have all made a mess of things,
right,
by not, is honoring the role that God gave us, and it's a beautiful role.
Yeah.
It's not a role of punishment.
No, exactly. Mauricio, are you feeling better?
Yes, I'm really okay. Much better. Thank you for the prayers. Regarding what you're saying, is really interesting. That I love the way that you exposed that today, when the man disappears, I would say, from the society, then the society just crash. And this is, for example, in El Salvador, we used to have a problem with guns, and all these people that comes from these guns in the streets and things like that. They made a lot of funny, destroying the society. But when you real what happened really is that during the war, well, all the males that they have to go or to the guerrilla, or they have to go to fight with the army. So all the men, they said, what we can do, okay? So everybody start to emigrate to United States, okay? And this is the only possibility. So then you have a society without men, okay? And what happened? A society without men start to have a disaster, because here they left children and their spouses here in El Salvador, but there was no a father in the families. And what happened during the 10 years of war, then all these people create another life in United States. They did not return back. but they led a lot of kids. Okay.
Wow.
And what happened with all these kids? They rose without any rule.
Role
Okay.
models.
Yeah. And this becomes a great problem, because what happened after the war in especially in Los Angeles, there were a lot of groups of criminals that they were deported from United States, returned back to El Salvador because we don't have any more war. Okay. And what happened? They saw the opportunity to see a lot of kids without any rule, okay, without a parenthood, and then they said, okay, now you don't have family, you will be my family now.
Mm.
But what happened? What happened in this country? Then violence, murders, and everything, extortions, kidnapping, everything, robbery, start to grow up. During the last 4 or 5 months in this country, we have been under exemption state, okay, which
What
means
state?
exemption,
Exemption?
yeah, for us, that means that if you are going in the street and somebody of authority, military or a policy, they can stop you, they can take you to the jail, and you don't have any right. Okay, that's what it means. But this has been like a tool to arrest all these gangsters, okay, in the streets. At this moment in El Salvador, from probably from July to January, there are like 70,000 persons in jail.
Wow.
Can you imagine? Only males, okay? And this is because the family just divided during the war.
Right.
And the lack of the men in the family as a role, well, was completely destroyed. So today the problem is the society start to change, that there is no more family role in the world, because they want just to be together, but not really to have a commitment between young people. Okay, they live together, but no more compromising. So and you know, for me, exactly is what happened in Israel at that moment. Okay, because what Paro saw, I can destroy the society if I take out the men from the society.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what's happening today, okay? Because, and it's really sad, because I remember last year when I read this portion, it just came to my mind that what is that it was useless to build bricks, okay, to construct build bricks. Doesn't give any value to nothing to the society. Okay, there's no development doing bricks, you know. And this is what happening today. We started to work and work and work making bricks, okay.
Well, you mean
And-
they weren't used? They
yeah.
weren't used to make the.
Yeah, you know, obviously for the paddle, the bricks were important to build the cities that he wanted.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But honestly, for example, if you have a person prepared doing bricks, what is, for example, I would say, like person like Joseph, persons like a doctor, person like
Right.
making bricks.
Right.
you are wasting time of the person.
The talent, yeah,
The talent
right,
is a garbage for them. So, and today, that is what all the society is making to the males. We are under this, okay, do bricks every day. Okay, you have a lot
right,
of things to do. For example, making bricks, looking social media, for example.
right, right.
I have seen today we went to we were invited to for a breakfast, and it was so sadly because I had a lot of time to not go into to have a breakfast. I love to eat in my home, but uh, I was looking around the table, and a lot of people were with a cell phone.
Yeah,
Mm.
That is making bricks. Okay,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
is not adding value. Instead to have a relationship, instead to look at the eyes of the person,
right,
you are looking at a screen,
yeah,
and it's really sad.
yeah,
And for my kids, that's exactly the same. For example, I don't know how many hours they are behind a screen. Okay,
yeah,
but but that is how the all the war is trying to destroy the role of the man. Okay, that's exactly what you're saying. So if the men, if we as men do not have any I would say like to put a defend to comply with our role, then our society will be destroyed in the
right,
future.
right,
And this is very important. And I love how you said, because it's true. I've seen a nation destroyed because there were not men in the society. Okay, in my country, that's what happened,
right,
and it's not far from any other country. And
yeah,
I remember, for example, Rabbi used to say, for example, with all this slavery in United States, what they made to take out the men, okay, in this in what happened with all these person that came from Africa, okay, they were put there because obviously the role of the man was not there, and today is still a problem
yes,
because it's something generational that is not. He said, okay, if you compare how the persons in the fathers in Africa are very different from the parents from America,
mhm,
okay, because they have a lot of divorcing rates in United States. So this is how and it's true. So that is really important. Then we are under attack. Honestly, the men, we are under attack. We are bombarded by the eyes, by the ears. I don't know, for many duties, but we need to have time to have time with especially with the family. Okay, um, today we are fighting in my home because I put a goal for this year to have at least one time making a meal together, okay, at home. And it's really, it's very stressful, but I have seen many changes, okay, in my home. Why? Because, for example, in the morning, everybody is running to the school, to the job, so it's very complicated.
right,
Then at lunch, nobody lunch together.
right,
So because my wife is a job, I come to home, but when my kids are in the school, so the only time we have to share is at night. But when you put rules, no phones, no screens here, we start to talk, and then you start to see changes in our kids. Okay, how they develop, how they grow, how they get uh, how you can give them an expression of love, okay, things like that. But do that, I've seen that is really hard to have the time to sit down together.
Mm.
And if we don't do, and we do not put this goal, then my home becomes an hotel, okay,
Right. Exactly.
and not a home.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that is what is happening in all the country. So it's really important. And the second thing I really appreciate from your message, Peggy, was that when Moses got Sarat.
Mhm.
Okay, why? Okay, the problem is the tongue. Okay, in a verse prior, he got the Sarat. Okay, he 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 made a lashon hara. Okay,
About
if
God.
you read about God, how these people will believe me,
Right.
not believe you, but how these people will believe me. So it's more the ego.
Right.
And then the problem is, I don't trust in you, God. What you are saying, you are not more than enough to what you say. Okay, it will be full fulfilled. Okay, so
And don't we all have that?
yeah, and then that's why he got Sarat.
Mm.
Okay, because he spoke against the creator. Okay, it's a short hara.
Yeah.
And God, yes, he healed him,
Yeah.
because it's like, okay, look again, and
Yeah.
now you are already healed.
He took
But
his name in vain.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that and it's really important, because when I read this, and I said, wow, how many times I have not believed in God.
Mm.
Okay, and thank God I don't got Sarat, but it's really um, powerful, the power of our tongue,
Yeah.
of what we're saying. So I love that.
Yeah.
Zarat could be anything. It doesn't have to be, it could be depression, anxiety.
It could be any disease.
A disease. It could
Yeah.
be anything. Just back to something, I understand what you mean about the man. I'm misinterpreting it as I'm mixing up the roles. And so, but what I kind of mean, I agree with what you're saying, both, but what happens, when they talk about, more in the 50s, they used to talk about the battle of the sexes. And it's not really a battle of the sexes, it's that we just don't have the understanding from God about what it really means to be a man in this world and really means to be a woman. So then the women's lib movement comes up in reaction, let's say, to some of the abuses that they perceive men causing, but really it becomes reaction, defense, and we lose, both men and women have lost the meaning of what it is to be, even I remember when I was studying in a church, a Christian church, some of the women became a mockery because they misunderstood their roles and the man's roles, and they almost allowed the men to become dictators and thinking this is what it meant. And it's not what it means. So the women didn't have the right understanding, and neither did the men. So anyway, I can't put into words what I
Well,
want to
because
say.
again, they're taking away the true meaning of the roles that are in the Torah. When you throw out the Torah, you're not going to be able to come to the truth about many subjects,
Well, what I'm
because
saying,
so
yeah,
many
it
things are
becomes
changed.
a balagan. It becomes a really
Yeah.
bad thing, and
Yeah.
people misunderstand. You know, when I see even things on the bus where anyway, it doesn't matter, but people do not. Yeah, when a man will, let's say, let a woman sit down. For me, whenever a man would give me a seat on the bus, I don't care if I have one stop to go. I will say thank you and I will take the seat. I will never refuse it, because it's like refusing a beautiful thing that he's doing by giving me almost a protector role, giving the woman the seat, you know. And when I see women refusing a seat, it really angers me. It's like we're just not understanding what it means to be a man and a woman under God. And the bottom line is, without God, there's chaos.
Exactly. I
Yeah,
love.
you know that the problem honestly is that that okay, they are dictators, as you mentioned, Peggy. Really, I have seen a lot of in Latin America. Still we have a lot of problem with chauvinism. With you know, I
Yeah,
am
chauvinism,
here,
macho.
yeah, macho man. So, but is in the low education, uh, especially. But but the problem is that a man really when you start to think what is a marriage is that you have two halves and then you come one. So when you are one, you are not more men and women. I mean, you are a unity. So you have the same value, you have the same opportunities, you have the same rights, everything. So and it's really interesting. And obviously the woman helps a lot of in you know, for example, if in my home my wife is angry, there's a lot of stress. For example, if I am angry, probably my wife only make a joke and everybody at home changes. So that's a role that the woman gives a lot of life, okay, in everything. And the man honestly takes the cold decisions. I would say, you know, that okay, what we're gonna do, and the man hunts. That's is a role, obviously, but the problem is that person do not understand really the roles at home. And the problem is that today, for men, the man loves that the woman takes decisions, okay, and and but they are not part of the decisions because human beings loves to say, oh, it's not my fault, it's yours, what's your decision. uh, it's like if in any marriage there is a disclaimer you know, paragraph that says, okay, if there is a problem, then you will be the victim or the other will be responsible. So and that is the problem. Nobody wants to assume responsibility, and is what every Shabbat we are talking. Okay, we have free will, we have the right to decide by ourselves, but we need to assume responsibility. So
I
in
tried, you know,
problem,
I try to think of what it was like for Joseph married to Potiphar's daughter.
yeah,
And because all she knew was, you know, the gods of Egypt, even though they weren't Egyptian. I think they were Hyksos, that
yes,
group of people. So I think it was a little different than the Egyptians, but they still only knew the other gods. And here Joseph who's coming in. It's the role of the men is to bring the spiritual truth into the home, to bring the understanding of the one God into the home. And that has to be really, really.
Yes, and you know what
yeah.
you are saying, it came to my mind that there is a midrash that says that that Potiphar adopted the Dinah's daughter, just to put in a pedestal that that's why Joseph and Ephraim and Manasseh grow up
Nonsense.
like nonsense.
Yeah.
It's man-made inventions.
Exactly. But I'm sure he had challenges with that, but he was very clear because he had seen it over, and his stories, his experiences were so strong that he was able to impart, and then,
it's really interesting that also in this portion says that the first one who died was Joseph. Okay, he died at 121, 110, right? So in the Midrash said that he didn't reach the 120 because in several times he did not said they referred to Jacob, his father, as a servant, and Joseph did not stop them.
oh,
So that's why for not respecting his father, okay, it's a way that they look. His year was
lessened.
diminished, yeah, rested, yes.
Interesting.
It's really interesting because, and that's why older brothers supposedly had to live less than Joseph, but they said that's why his days were shorter because he didn't say don't call your father, for example, servant. Okay.
I don't understand, because didn't we always call Jacob my servant?
Yes, but that is God. But when they presented to Joseph, they said, oh, here we are in your servants, and our father, your servant.
Oh,
And Joseph, he was a governor, and he's never knowing that they were the brothers, and hearing that they said to his father, servant, he didn't say, no, it's not my servant.
right.
Even, that's...
Well, he was probably still stewing about what his brothers had done to him,
Yes. So, but that is a commercial.
Yeah, that's a commercial. The other commercial is I quickly looked at how many prisoners there are in Canada. And back in 2019, of course, that's a few years ago, there were only 38,000. So in that whole of Canada, which is a huge country, and you say 70,000, that's double, more than double. Yeah, double in your little country of El Salvador. That's unheard of.
Yeah, but that these 70,000 went to the jail only from July to December.
Oh, okay. They didn't stay.
And no, they were to jail, and they are still in the jail.
Oh my goodness.
But prior July, there were like 30,000 more. So right now we have 100 people
100,000
in jail. 100,000.
Oh my
yes.
goodness, that's a lot of people to support in jail.
Yeah, but this is a problem because people is not animal. Okay, you need to re-educate these people,
Right.
And put them to make a job, something to do, because when probably in this government they could stay at jail, but the problem that in the future, if there is a new government and they release all these people because they are looking the numbers and say, oh, there's a lot of 100 people,
100,000
in jail every day, how much that means in meals only.
Exactly. I was thinking, my goodness. Now, these people were in for murder, for theft, for
No,
drugs.
because today, when you have if you have a tattoo, for example, related to
A gang?
to a gang, you go to jail.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
So if you have 1 and 8, for example, which is a really important gang persons in El Salvador, then you go to jail because you have 1 and 8, or 1 and 3, or MS, or whatever another gangs
Wow.
they are. So and now also they are taking all the persons who are selling drugs to jail.
Okay.
So in a short time, yes,
Yeah.
it's good because now we feel better to get
You're
out from
safer.
home. We are safer
Right.
without all these people. For example, right now they are recovering a lot of houses that were abandoned for people because all these guys went to live. For example, if they wanted to take my home, they only give me a gun and said, okay, get out from here, I'm gonna live in your house. That
Wow.
happened a lot of persons.
That was happening in Mexico too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now they just took from this home taken by the force and now go to the jail.
Okay.
But the problem is, yeah, you have 100,000 people in jail,
Yeah.
but there are more.
Right.
Okay, so you need to educate all these people and make them productive in order to but the and also they need to invest a lot of in education, because if people is not educated, how they get ideas to make a business, for example, to attract investments in our country. So
Yeah, but they also have to teach them morality, teach them
yes,
the commandments. It's a much bigger job. Oh my goodness. What a world. Yeah. Well, let's hope that a little bit about what we're teaching will get out there so that the world will slowly begin to change. We're crying for the Messiah, but really our hearts need to be changed. And I love the picture that it gives, that God brought them out with a mighty hand. That idea of a hand, when you see a fist, it's like, I always use that expression, the world is shaking its fist at God. And the other hand is the mighty hand of God against the shaking fist of humanity. So we have to, I don't know, we really need God to fix this place. In the
yes.
meantime, all we can do is,
That the point is that we need that God give us meaningful life.
yes,
And that's more important, because in this week I was thinking about why God you decided to put me in this body,
and in this country.
and in this country, and with this family. You are the God of the souls. So
Yeah.
why you decided to send me to this body? I mean, to relate with other people. Yeah, I know it's very deep question, but for me that's the more important, because when you have a meaningful life, then you can bring life to another people.
Exactly. I don't know if you had a chance. I sent out. Today is the 10th anniversary of the death of my mother, and for many years I had a lot of trouble. Was very angry with my mother, because my mother was well, you'll see in what I wrote. I sent it out to everyone. My mother was a very strong woman. She really didn't want to be home. She didn't want to have children. She didn't want to marry my father. She had a whole bunch of other ideas in mind, but all in those days, it was very difficult for women. So she was forced into situations that really she didn't want. And now, as I was looking back, as you get older, and you see, now I see how much like my mother I am. It's amazing. And I see her as a person who really, I see who she was. And everybody I sent it to in my family, they loved my mother. My mother had a great sense of humor. She laughed. She, she was she was a special person. So as we get old, I don't know why I brought this up at all. I know it was from something that you were saying before. Oh, yes. So the woman, and she, in all the mistakes that I made with all the wrong decisions, because really she was never home. My mother and father were never home. We never sat down. I can't remember a meal together, except much later on, but not when we were growing up. That's why what you're doing, Mauricio, is extremely important, and insist on it. Don't give up on that, because it's extremely important to listen to them and to give them feedback, because I didn't have that. So I made many, many, many mistakes. But then later, when my life was turned around, I came to God and I started my life again. One day I was at her home and I was playing the guitar and I was singing to her, and I was talking to her about my life, and she just looked at me and she said, "You are the hope for this family," which to me is overwhelming.
It's so overwhelming to me to hear that. I love that.
Yeah. And, I was hesitant when I put it in there, because when Joseph, interpreted the dreams, his brothers got upset. So I didn't know how my family would look at that. Who is she to say she's the hope? But I didn't say it. My mother did. And what does that mean? I don't know. Maybe the hope is that they will all come to God. But I see little by little, my relationship with my brother, my sister, is getting much better. With my children, it's a process. It's a struggle, because I'm so much like my mother. And hopefully the way, I've been able to forgive my mother, my children will forgive me for all the things that I did, and see me now for who I am, not for who they think I am. But we have to show our kids that we make mistakes, we're fallible. We have to give them the tools to deal with life, and really hope that they, that they'll listen to our guidance. But we got to let go, Your kids are still young, and they're your older son, Santi. He's the older one. Ooh, he's so handsome now. He's the younger one.
No, he's in the middle.
He's the middle. Pablo is first, and then Samara.
Pablo's first, then Samara.
Yeah, I don't know why I was mixed up. Now I'm getting it little by little, because I'm not there. I don't see them. So, but Santi is so handsome. My goodness, you got to watch out. All the girls are going to be running after him. Well, anyway, if there anything else we want to say, anybody? Otherwise, we can say goodbye, and next week we'll be glad to hear our rabbi again. He'll be speaking on Va'era. And is that it? All right. Well, thank you all. Well, I don't have to thank you for coming to Shabbat. We thank God for giving us the Shabbat and for taking care of us and protecting us no matter what goes on in our lives. So have a wonderful week, everybody. Continue to enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. And we'll see you again, God willing, next Shabbat, next week. And have a wonderful, wonderful, blessed day. And stay healthy, stay happy. And Mauricio, just keep your wife happy. Happy wife, happy home. Look at all the women here. You're solo. All
Where's
right.
Baruch?
Where's Baruch? I don't know. He's been having trouble with his phone, so he
Yeah,
turned it off.
he had a flashy
He,
strobe light.
he was
still.
flashing me, yeah. And then I was trying to concentrate on the message and I kept
know,
saying that.
I wanted to say something, but I didn't want to interrupt your message. But
Yeah,
it's like
exactly. And I had to
almost
just
had
stay
an
focused.
epileptic
You know, with
attack.
my ADD, it was so hard. At one point, I moved my document in front of that, and then he moved over.
Whoever has, if anyone here has epilepsy, he could have sparked an attack.
Exactly. Anyway, have a wonderful day, everybody. A wonderful week, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye,
Bye.
Sarai.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Moshe. Shabbat Shalom.
Yes. Shabbat Shalom. Bye bye.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.